Cruise days are for buffets, cocktails, and sunshine. But hidden in plain sight, there are foods so risky they're basically banned. Stay tuned to find out which ones. 10. Food from shore vendors after arrival. What it is. You dock at a port of call. You see street vendors selling grilled meats, fresh juices, tropical snacks. They look irresistible. Why it's banned, or at least highly risky. On a cruise ship, your risk profile changes. Hygienic standards, water supply, storage, and cleanup may differ from what you're used to at home. Food handled outside the ship's vetted system can expose you to unfamiliar bacteria or parasites. The ship's kitchen may be built for the supplies they load and the water systems they control. Shore vendor food might use local water, non-sterile ice, or different refrigeration. If a food safety incident happens far from the port, your medical access is reduced and your vacation could be disrupted. So while it may not be literally banned by the cruise line, for health this is essentially off limits. Raw or undercooked seafood, what it is. Sushi, sashimi, oysters, raw clams, even just barely cooked shrimp or fish. Why it's banned or strongly discouraged. Many cruise ships do offer raw seafood options, but the key risk is that at sea the microbial and storage risks are amplified. The cold chain may be interrupted during transit, and a wave or power issue can cause temperature fluctuations. Raw seafood can carry bacteria like Vibrio parahemolyticus, norovirus, parasites, or other pathogens. If you become ill, you may be far from your usual medical support and nursing standard. The result, seasickness plus food sickness equals disaster. So if it's raw, think twice. Better to opt for well-cooked and fresh. Ice from unknown sources, what it is. Ice in your drink at the pool bar or in a shore excursion drink, perhaps even vendor-made ice cubes using local tap water. Why it's banned or risky. On a cruise ship, the water system is heavily regulated and fully managed, but shore water and vendor water may not be. If you pick up ice where the water quality is questionable, you open yourself to the same risks as drinking contaminated water. Ice can hide bacteria, viruses, or other pathogens. When you're far from home and dealing with a vessel's limited hospital or clinic, it's best to avoid unknown ice sources. Stick to ice made from ship water, trusted, or bottled or packaged beverages you know were handled correctly. Buffet food left out too long. What it is. At the ship's buffet, you spot a serving tray that's been out in the heat, or food that's been sitting while you were off on an excursion. Maybe the lasagna or the dessert tray. Why it's banned, or at least heavily discouraged. Even on land. Food left in the danger zone, temperatures 40-140 degree F, 460 degree ice, for more than 2 hours can allow bacteria to multiply rapidly. At sea, the ambient conditions, sun, humidity, fluctuating temperatures, can exacerbate this. While cruise lines have strict protocols, accidents happen, especially during peak service times. If you choose food that's been sitting out or you're unsure how long it's been there, you risk foodborne illness. When you're on a cruise, the medical support is limited and the inconvenience can be huge. Best rule, choose fresh, just-served items. Unpasteurized dairy or fresh cheeses, what it is. Soft cheeses like brie or camembert. Unpasteurized milk, fresh cheese spreads made locally in a port, or fresh churned butter from a shore vendor. Why it's banned, or ill-advised. Unpasteurized dairy products can carry listeria, salmonella, E. coli, and other pathogens. On land, you might have similar risk, but you may be near a hospital. On a cruise, especially if you're far out at sea or in remote ports, the risk grows. Many cruise lines handle dairy under strict controls. But when you buy from vendors or bring fresh local dairy aboard, you may be outside that controlled system. Also, storing such products in your cabin fridge might not be as cold as home. So when in doubt, avoid unpasteurized dairy items. Rare meats or exotic meats, what it is. Ultra-rare steak. Game meat served shoreside, exotic meats like wild boar, kangaroo, or local specialties that may not have the same inspection standards. Why it's banned or high risk. Rare or exotic meats carry risk of bacteria and parasites if not handled and cooked properly. At sea, access to additional medical care is farther away. Exotic meats may come from regions with less stringent inspection or unknown supply chains. Furthermore, on shore excursions, the cooking environment may be less controlled. On the ship, you're best served by meats fully cooked to safe internal temperatures. If you pick rare or exotic meats off-ship or outside the ship's inspected supply chain, you raise the risk. Best, stick with known meats thoroughly cooked by vetted staff. Easter egg-style allergy surprises, shellfish plus cross-contamination. What it is. Dishes labeled as may contain shellfish or handled in the same station as shellfish, or desserts made near nut allergy stations, or vendor food with unknown cross-handling. Why it's banned, for you maybe. This category may not be banned by the cruise line, but if you have a food allergy or want to avoid cross-contamination risks at sea, it deserves its own spotlight. On a cruise, you may be farther from medical assistance, and if you have an unexpected exposure, it could become dangerous quickly. Shellfish allergy, nut allergy, gluten intolerance. These can be exacerbated when you're eating from shared buffets or vendor food that doesn't adhere to the strict protocols of the ship's main kitchen. So this is a forbidden food for you if you're vulnerable. Treat it as strictly off-limits. Avoid foods where you're unsure of handling, labeling, or cross-contact. Prepackaged leftovers or to-go food from shore, especially in tropical heat, what it is. You buy a to-go sandwich or snack from a local port vendor. Keep it in your cabin or take it on the ship's deck for later snacking. Why it's banned or discouraged. Prepackaged or takeaway foods may have been sitting in the sun, or the packaging may not have been kept cool enough. On a ship, you may store it in your cabin fridge, which may not be as cold as a standard hotel fridge. And these foods, especially in warm climates, can become bacterial breeding grounds. You might think you're saving money or getting a local treat, but you might be inviting food poisoning. Best to consume fresh, ship-verified items. Or handle your to-go food with extreme caution. Keep cold chain, eat quickly. Discard leftovers. Tap water or open cup drinks from unknown sources. What it is. Drinking straight from the tap when docked in a foreign port. Using ice from a local bar, getting a fresh coconut from a shore vendor, and drinking water-based smoothie with unknown water quality. Why it's banned or highly discouraged. On board a cruise ship, you often have controlled water supply systems fully managed by the operator. But off-ship or via unknown sources, you may get exposed to contaminated water, parasites, bacteria, viruses. If you drink tap water or open cup drinks in a port where sanitation is lax, you may end up with traveler's diarrhea or worse. Once you're back on the ship, you may then struggle with dehydration, fatigue, illness, not what you want while trying to enjoy a vacation. The safest route. Drink bottled or ship-supplied filtered water. Avoid open cups from questionable sources. Avoid unknown water and ice, smoothies, etc. Treat anything but trusted water as forbidden. Buffet mystery meat or fish that's been sitting and re-served. What it is. The top of the list. A dish at the buffet you don't recognize. Maybe today's special fish or meat tray that has been replenished multiple times. Or easy to overlook items that have been sitting out for hours. Why it's the most dangerous, most truly forbidden food on a cruise. At live service buffets, food is frequently topped up or held at suboptimal temperatures, especially during peak times or when the ship is rocking or when staff turnover is strained. A tray of meat fish that has been sitting out, maybe under the heat lamp, maybe near the sun deck, may have been in the danger zone too long. At sea, the stakes are higher. You may get ill far from shore, your mobility is restricted, your local medical care is more limited, your day ruined. The cost of food illness at sea is much higher than on land. This mystery meat fish may look innocuous, but could be your worst enemy on vacation. That's why this is number 1 on the banned list. When in doubt, pass it up. Opt for freshly cooked meats or ask the crew when it was prepared. The outro all right, to wrap things up. You now know the 10 foods you should absolutely avoid or handle extremely carefully when you're on a cruise. From street vendor shore food to raw seafood, from unknown ice and tap water to buffet items you don't know the history of. These are not just bad choices, they're potential vacation spoilers and health risks. Remember, your cruise should be about relaxation, exploration, and good food, but smart food. Staying healthy means choosing foods that are handled under strict standards, staying hydrated with trusted sources, and saying no to anything that might compromise your safety at sea. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please like this video, subscribe for more travel-wise advice, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next tip on safe eating while traveling. Got your own story from a cruise or shore excursion? Drop it in the comments below. We'd love to hear it. Stay safe, stay smart, and enjoy your voyage.